Hello, welcome to the Mythology Manifest. For today's video, I am going to be explaining how the first human got created, and how she let loose all of the evils into the world when tricked by the gods. It is the story of Pandora. I hope you enjoy it. This myth begins just after all of the other gods had joined the pantheon. In some myths, this did not yet include Dionysus, whose mother, who was a mortal, had not been created, and so Hestia was still an Olympian. The gods were now all-powerful and controlled all of the cosmos. The only problem they had was that there was nothing much to rule, as the earth was barren of anything but plants and animals. So, Zeus called together some of the gods and some of the titans who had stood by their side during the Titanomachy. This group included Athena, Hephaestus, and the titan of forethought, Prometheus, who was Zeus's oldest friend. Zeus told the trio that he wanted to create new living beings in his image on the earth who would populate it and worship them as they should be worshipped, as gods. He said that he wanted to create one as a test at first and see how that went. Zeus wanted Hephaestus to build them out of clay and mould them using Prometheus's saliva. He then wanted Athena to breathe her wisdom and intelligence into them before he himself would give them life. Zeus did set a few rules for when they were created, and this was that 1, they had to be much, much smaller than the gods, with no power or magic, and 2, they could not be allowed fire or weapons, as if they had those they could march upon the gods and try to overthrow them. So, the gods and Titan set to work making a mortal, which they decided would be the first in a new race that they would call humans. They decided to make her look like a much less beautiful version than Aphrodite, so a woman. When the first woman had been moulded, Prometheus, who was the most excited about these creations, took them to Helios, the sun titan, who baked them so that they would be solid. Then Athena loosed a breath into the clay figure, and it breathed, containing all of the knowledge and wisdom that the first human would need to survive on Earth. And finally, although it was already breathing, Zeus blessed her with life. They named her Pandora, meaning all gift. Pandora was a fantastic human. She made all of the right sacrifices to the gods and worshipped them daily. She was everything the gods had wanted from their creation. As I said before, Prometheus was very excited about the creation of mortals, and he had grown to love Pandora as a daughter. He visited and spoke to her every day in a human form, but he did let her know who he actually was. He even introduced her to his brother, who was called Epimetheus, and over time, Pandora and Epimetheus fell in love and got engaged. As an engagement gift, Prometheus and Epimetheus gave Pandora the skills to create fire, something they had both been wanting to do since they met her, as she would never use it against the gods. This is similar to Azazel in the Bible, who taught mortals how to fight and create weapons, and was therefore turned into a demon. One day, when the gods were looking down on Earth from Olympus, they saw Pandora playing with the fire, and immediately knew that Prometheus and Epimetheus must have given it to her. Zeus was furious and felt incredibly betrayed, because although he had been a titan, Prometheus had been his best friend, and he had trusted him above all others, which is why the king of the gods wanted to punish Prometheus more than Epimetheus. Zeus summoned Prometheus up to Olympus and questioned him on it. The titan did not deny it, so Zeus punished Prometheus by sending him to the underworld, where he was tied to a rock, and an eagle, Zeus's sacred animal, came and ripped out his body organs every day. They would then grow back painfully before being ripped out again the next day, and this continued forever. As for Epimetheus, Zeus had a special punishment planned out for him and Pandora, but allowed them to believe he just blamed Prometheus for now. Eventually, the day came when Pandora and Epimetheus got married. It was an extravagant affair, and all of the gods were invited. At the end of the wedding, Zeus went to Pandora and handed her a pithos, in English known as a jar, which was decorated beautifully. Over time, this pithos was translated to Pixis, meaning box, so it was a mistranslation, which is why we know it as Pandora's box. Zeus told Pandora that inside this jar or box, whichever you want to call it, was a gift from all of the gods. But she was never allowed to open it because she wasn't allowed to know what the gift was. Pandora took it and promised she would never open it. But when created, she had been given the human gift of curiosity. She placed this jar or box in her home with Epimetheus and tried for days not to open it, but it seemed to whisper to her, begging her to open it, and one day she gave in. Pandora took the lid off the jar or box, and for a moment nothing happened. Then a cloud of pure black and evil power flew out of it at immense speed and hit Pandora in the face. This cloud of evil was actually, according to Hesiod, death, sickness, hunger, old age, senility, and many more issues which all mortals still have to face now. This is similar to Lilith in demonology, who I will discuss properly in another video. But, like Pandora, she was the first woman to exist and let loose demons into the world, which are the equivalent to the things in the jar or box. It is not clear what happened to Pandora when all of this hit her, but in some myths she died instantly. In others, she became a horrific monster who went into hiding until she died. Either way, Pandora was punished, and Epimetheus was punished by losing his brother and his wife. Eventually, the gods made more humans, and we are still affected by the creatures from the jar or box, and we still use her as an idiom for what not to do now. However, Pandora was able to shut the jar or box before we lost one final thing, something that we all need, and that was hope. That is the end of Pandora's myth. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment or subscribe. Let me know in the comments or on Twitter at @TheMythologyMA1 what other videos you would like to see. Let's keep classics alive. I will see you next time on the Mythology Manifest.